Shalom Chaverim, Shalom friends. This is Rabbi Leynor. Today we're going to be continuing to discuss some topics in the vein that we've been doing. One of the most important words in the Bible is sin. And don't forget, folks, if you want to find more information, you go to Encyclopedia Judaica for these things. There are about 20 different words, Hebrew words, which denote sin in the Jewish scriptures. The three words that are used most often are three of these: chet, pesha, and avon. The word chet, from where chet comes from, occurs 459 times. And the original meaning of the word chata is to miss something or to fail, to miss the mark. If you've ever shot archery and you've missed the target, that's what a chet is. It signifies the failure of mutual relations and corresponds to the modern idea of offense rather than the theological concept of sin. And remember, when we're talking about Judaism, you're talking about religion that talks about relationships. The one you have with yourself, the one you have with God's creation, and the one you have with God. One who fulfills the claims of a relationship or an agreement is righteous. We call that tzedek. One who does not is one who offends. Okay, so the claims of a relationship, you have to fulfill them. The one who fulfills the agreement is innocent, while the one who does not is guilty. That's the Hebrew sense of the word. It's very clear from the words of the Jewish Jesus recorded in the Gospels that he held the Hebrew meaning. Let me repeat this because it's very different from the later Christian theological view of sin. A sinful act is a matter between two parties. Remember, relationship. This also goes to covenant. One who does not fulfill his obligations in a relationship to the other is a sinner with regard to this latter point of being in the relationship or covenant. He sins against him, quote unquote, and so gives the other a claim upon him. The word pesha. Pesha occurs 136 times. And it's also found in the early texts of Genesis and Exodus. Its basic meaning is that the breach of a covenant. Acts of this type are said to dissolve the community or break the peaceful relations between two parties, as in cases involving international treaties or even personal relationships. The word avon basically expresses the idea of crookedness. Okay, that you're doing something that's not on the up and up. When God forgives a person's sin, God covers or hides it. Right? God does not remember it. He bears it. God bears the sin. Though it's merely said that the sin is forgotten, covered, and not imputed to the sinner, God's forgiveness of sins is identical with the curing of the person and the regeneration of strength. Okay, God's forgiveness of sins is identical with the curing of a person and their regeneration of strength. The rabbis rarely speak of sin in the abstract. They usually speak of specific sins. These are the sins of commission and omission. They also divided sins into light and heavy, severe sins. Okay? The three most serious sins for the rabbis are murder, idolatry, and adultery and incest. The rabbis also taught that the one who causes others to sin is worse than one who slays someone, because the murderer only excludes his victim from this life, while the one who causes another to sin excludes him from the life in the world to come. This is a reference to eternal life or the afterlife. The question of why people sin was of great interest to the rabbis. I'll tell you, folks, evil is easy. It's much harder to do what is tzedek. The rabbi's conclusion was that sin is caused by the Yetzer Hara, an evil inclination. And don't mistake this for Satan. When the fruit was eaten, we have a choice of choosing good or choosing evil. life and death. So choose life, it says. This is the force in humans that drive them to gratify instincts and ambitions. The name evil inclination is misleading because even though it can easily lead a person to wrongdoing, it's essential to life in that it provides life with its driving power. It recognizes, as Judaism does all the time, we are human. Without it, a man wouldn't marry or have children or engage in commerce, the rabbis taught. Right? In essence, not like I've seen on the evangelical television, you don't slay the devil. You control that Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, and make it into the inclination to do good, to do tov. The subject of how a man can rise above sin is addressed in a number of times in the Talmud. Here's just a few examples. But the study of the Torah and the practice of the precepts are the best method of avoiding sin. That's from Sota 21a. And the idea is that if you're studying all the time and learning, you're not going to have time to commit evil, or evil won't come into your mind to even plan to do. Right? God says, my children, I created the evil inclination, but I created the Torah as its antidote. If you occupy yourselves with the Torah, you will not be delivered into the evil inclination's hand. This is from Kedushin 30b. The bottom line is that the person that commits a sin is viewed as being good. You've heard somebody say that, a good person who makes bad choices. Well, and the sin is viewed as a stain that must be removed or must be reconciled. Picture a child playing outside that gets dirty. The child is good, and all that's needed is for the dirt to be removed. Ritual purity was the primary concern while the temple in Jerusalem was still standing. Sin could render one ritually impure and thus keep you from participating in the temple rituals. We'll discuss this in more detail in some future lessons. I hope you enjoyed this brief lesson and learned more about the Jewish biblical heritage of Judaism and the Jewish Jesus. Please share this lesson with others at my webpage and go to www.biblicalheritage.org for other lessons. And as always, folks, we appreciate any support that you can give our research and enabling us to give this information and the facts to you. Always remember, don't let anybody tell you or sell you the truth. Always get the facts. May the Lord bless you and protect you. Shalom, my friends.